If you drink alcohol from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, you have a problem.
Oh, you're really talented.
Yeah.
Probably after a contest, actually.
Opening topic, I guess. Eric and I figured out that my car has Apple CarPlay, which I didn't know.
Okay.
But, like, it's baller. Like,
Yeah, usually no big deal. But, like, we roll up the windows.
mm-hmm.
We manually lock the door and
Exactly.
unlock the door. And then he plugs in his phone. And all of a sudden, your phone's GPS is on the little screen that spent $3,000. The entire budget went onto the center console of this vehicle.
Apple Play.
It's true. And it's pretty legit. I thought it was like, okay, oh, yeah, Apple's got CarPlay. Big deal. They're trying to be like Tesla. I was.
I mean, if you have to put the backup camera in and you have to put a screen for it, I guess at that point, like, not taking the extra step to go all the way, they might as well just integrate the software.
Mm-hmm.
The screen's already there, so I guess.
Yeah. It works. It's pretty baller, though. I like it. But I was saying to Eric, imagine having this car for years and not knowing that you could do this, like manually doing all of these steps and like having the phone do GPS independently and everything like that. And you got this fully like fledged system just all set up. So I guess the moral of the story is like, you know, mess with the settings.
Press every button you can find.
Yeah, I guess so.
All the buttons. Fake it till you make it.
Yes.
Speaking of buttons, we spent a day in New York at the NABAES convention show thing.
What'd you call me?
Yeah, right. Figure out the acronyms. So I think I hit more buttons in that day, and I didn't even know a lot of them did, especially on the camera side.
Right.
I never felt like more like I was just agreeing with people. People were just like, the professionals were talking, and Benji at least knows like the basics. So he's having the conversation, and then this one dude's like, yeah, the f-stop is like a 29 because it can't go back to a 28. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, of course. Yeah, the 29 can never be a 28.
That's a different number.
Yeah, that's definitely different. 29's better, right?
I think the
Or
exact,
worse.
Yeah, the exact the lens that Eric's talking about was like a 28 to 109 f2 or t2.9. So like it's a cinema lens, and it's like a $38,000 lens. So this guy's like he's like talking about it like
29
really
is absolutely
intently.
better than 28.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For $38,000.
And he's like going in about it, and I tried to, because I wanted to look like I knew, like I was at least competent enough to understand stuff. So like I asked a very simple question about a filter, because either you put a filter in the back or the front.
I thought it was a good question.
But it's very expensive to put a filter in the front of that, because that's like a 6 or 7 inch lens, like around, so that's a big filter. So I like you put the filter in the back, and he's like, well, we were working on, and he went on this other like tangent about like how they were working on it and the engineering behind it.
And you just turn over to him. So 29 is not better than 28?
Yeah. Exactly.
And then like the amount of people that would like name drop big boy names, and I had no idea what they were, and I'm just like, yeah, of course, yeah, if he doesn't use this, absolutely. And then the thought went through my mind of this guy just making up a name just to see at the level I was at.
It's probably what we do.
Which is, I don't know if I would. But no, I was sitting there, like you said, like names, dude. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, everybody was name dropping though. Everybody was name dropping.
Yeah, this person uses this, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah, and we knew no one
it must be okay then.
I use this.
Yeah. I got a 29.
I have a 29 TF stop.
Yeah. It was also interesting to see how the bigger players were more reserved in this like thing. So like Ari makes cinema cameras for movies. They were all the way in the back. They had 2 cameras.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, their cameras are $80,000 starting price, but like they only had 2 of them there, and they were like all the way tucked in the back of the room.
Listen, they didn't have anything to like prove or lose.
Yeah, exactly.
The red booth was probably the smallest booth I could. Like it was literally like smaller than this coffee table.
It was like a. It was
They were
like
just
a bureau.
standing. Yeah, they didn't have any camera. They were just standing there. One guy. I was just like, wow, okay.
I was actually moving. I just stopped by real quick, put my bureau down.
Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
it was interesting to see like the biggest players. Like some of them didn't even show up.
Yeah.
Like Tamron didn't come in, and like all these big lens companies didn't even just show up. Because I mean, I guess what Tyler said is true. If you're already a big boy, and everybody uses your stuff, there's no reason to show up and just be like, "Hey, buy our stuff." It's like, yeah, who else are we gonna buy from?
Not at
Right.
that like it wasn't a consumer show, but like not at that level. You know what I mean? If you're gonna buy a red, you're gonna buy a red. You know what I mean? Because it's not cheap. So yeah, I guess I get that. But why even bother with the smalls? Like, don't even go.
Yeah.
Like, don't even go, guy.
That's what they do. They send like their interns. It's like it's your turn, Jeff. And, like
I'm actually sick of looking at you, Jeff. I need you to go away for a day.
that's exactly
So
here.
I'm shipping you off to New York.
Take this camera. It's broken.
Yeah.
Put it on that bureau. Carry my bureau down there while you're at it.
It's pretty legit. It's interesting to see like how like clear the divide is between prosumer and professional though, because it's all like they had some like tech demos that like, okay, so like a company would be selling like a gimbal, let's say, and they have to have a camera on the gimbal, and they'd all use Aris, and they wouldn't like, they were like designating like this is a prosumer product, and it was like we saw no like, oh, this is a professional product, this isn't a prosumer product, and we saw no prosumer stuff. It was all big boy stuff.
Yeah, it was all really like large, like, you know, cameras on the shoulder things. And it was funny because like the amount of times I said, yeah, that's a good price, to prices that were just ridiculous. They were like, yeah, that right there, starting price $45,000. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good price. Yeah, that's affordable. Yeah, I could see the deal there.
We're looking at switches, and it was all like, oh yeah, what does this start at? Oh, this one's $13.5. I was like, that's reasonable.
That's reasonable.
As
$20 for parking.
yeah. As Black Magic is like on the other side of the booth selling the exact same thing for $3,000, and you're selling it for $13, and it's all like, yeah, that's a great deal. That's why you're at the back of the center.
Oh man, but it was all in all a really good time. It wasn't as big as I expected it to be, but it was definitely enough to keep us there for an entire day. But it is like a 3-day show or something, so I can't imagine going back for more than one day.
Yeah, no, I don't. The one in Las Vegas is apparently much larger than the one and I assume that's where all the big boys go.
Yeah.
But if you go to Las Vegas, you have to know what you're talking about though, because they're not even gonna entertain.
No, I will try that.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Be like, is this a 28 or
28 or 29? Because I hear
That's my only line.
I hear that's a big difference there.
yeah. The 1 million.
There was one camera that like the zoom was just. I think it was at the Sony booth.
Oh,
where,
yeah,
where
yeah.
you were playing with the zoom.
Oh, yep.
And then like there was this one guy who just kept staring into the camera.
Mhm.
I don't know if he noticed him. We didn't end up talking about it, but you like kept zooming. And this is one guy who was like watching the camera, and it was just pointing right at him, and he was just like dead staring, and then he just started like picking his nose, and then like,
Oh no, I didn't.
and then right back into the dead stare. But he could see himself, like it was on the reference monitor, so he could see himself.
So
he
he
knows
knew
it was
what was going
camera.
on, yeah.
Yeah. So he's just like, oh, I'm gonna be on TV.
So yeah, I was playing with like focal lengths and stuff, and it's so cool to see like the big boy stuff. And the reference monitor that they had just chilling, $40,000 reference monitor, just on, just
I was
the
gonna
background.
ask how much that price was,
Yeah.
and then I was gonna proceed with why.
It's because it's get the colors right, Eric.
Yeah,
It's perfect
40,000.
colors.
Yeah, 40,000 for perfect colors.
Hey, listen, it is what it is. Business expense.
Listen, guys, 19 ounce to do it.
Cool stuff.
That's
Very
it.
cool stuff.
Yeah.
Side note, this is the Life Podcast. My name is Benjamin. I'm here with Tyler
Hey, yo.
and Eric,
Yo.
and we're here 3 times a week
Doing stuff.
on your favorite podcasting platform and also on YouTube.
Oh.
Yay. What are we talking about?
I wanted to add something there, but I couldn't find a window.
Yeah.
You guys did really well filling it up, so I was just like, I'm just gonna.
I don't know what we're talking about. I kind of, like, as soon as we turned the mic on, I was like, oh, why are you so tired?
Yeah, it's Friday.
It
so
is Friday.
Congratulations on making it to the end of another week, I suppose.
Wait. The Life Podcast boys wake up until you don't.
Yeah. Wake up every day until you don't.
That's pretty great.
That's a T-shirt.
Yeah, that quote is always interesting.
Yeah. I like it. I do. It gets to the point, you know.
It's either you wake up or you don't.
That's
We'll
pretty
see.
much, yeah.
It's very black and white.
Those are the only options. It's like I was working with somebody the other day, and they were like, "Hey Ben, just don't get old." And I was like, "Well, it's better than the alternative." which is just dying. They were like,
I
"Yeah,
never
well,
heard that
fair
as a response, but I like that. It's
Dope.
better than the alternative.
Yep. So that's the deal. So
enough." What's up with you, Tyler?
not much. Tired,
Just chilling.
beat up. Told you about my Tony Hawk Pro Skater
Yeah.
extravaganza.
Yeah.
For all of you who want to know about my Tony Hawk skateboarding experience this past week, go over to Patreon, sign up for Rubber Ducks and Coffee Cups, $1 a month, and you'll be able to get all the behind the scenes for the Life podcast and more. So do that, and you'll hear all about my story.
Haha. Well, interestingly enough, I'm going to pick a random topic. Waking up early. Tyler says he's tired. I'm tired too. But that's part of the process, you know? And if you procrastinate waking up, how can you expect to procrastinate? How can you not
How can you not expect to
yeah.
procrastinate?
Yeah, you understand. The people understand. The idea
don't.
is all like, yo, if you can't wake up, which I'm not saying is easy, but it's a pain. But you got to do it.
So it's a different difference between can't wake up and not wanting to wake up.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who are like, you know, they ask for advice and they're like, okay, well, wake up at 7 a.m. and meet me here. And they're like, 7?
9 a.m.
How about we push that to 9:30? And it's like,
It's true.
and a lot of people do that. And it's like, if you're not willing to, and then you tell somebody like, I would wake up early, but I don't want to lose my sleep. I don't want to sacrifice my sleep. That's my favorite part of the day.
Well, shame on you.
And it's like, if that's the favorite part of the day.
Yeah. You know how many people have said that to me? Like, my favorite part of the day is sleeping. That's really sad. Like,
I used to say the same thing.
your favorite part of your life is being unconscious.
Conscious and not aware of anything.
That's really sad.
I mean, I love sleep. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love sleep. And when I can get 8 hours, I am the happiest person in the world.
Oh, me too. But like, think about it. This podcast wouldn't exist if we said nah. I can't wake up in the morning.
Literally, like within 2 weeks of doing this podcast, we went from like 7 a.m. starting time to a 6 a.m. starting time within a couple of weeks. And it was just like, okay, we make it. And it's funny because we asked each other, like, so what are we going to do? And we were all just like, we're going to wake up earlier.
And then we shoot 3 times a week. I mean, we're like, oh, so I have to wake up really early, only 3 days a week?
Yeah.
It's like,
and then 2 days I get to sleep in. It's messing me all up.
yeah,
No,
no,
it makes
just,
it worse.
Just full send the whole time, every day. Wake up the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never used to be a person that enjoyed doing it, but I realized it wasn't because I didn't like to wake up early. It was because I hated what I was doing that day. So like getting out of bed is a lot harder when you have a lot of things lined up of things that you don't want to do, like going to a job that you hate or going to see people that you don't want to be with. That makes it a lot harder to get out of bed. But as soon as you start to control your schedule and be in control of your life and control what's going to happen in the morning or whatever you're doing for your day, waking up is a lot easier.
I think it's a lot easier too when you have people that are counting on you. I mean, we all kind of we all count on each other. We're all accountable to each other. If you don't have anybody to be accountable to, then why do you really have a reason to wake up?
Absolutely. Me waking up in the morning and just knowing that there's 2 other people who are literally cannot do this show unless I unlock the door is like okay, so I have to get up. That forces me to say like I'm getting up and I'm not missing a day. Whether I'm exhausted, whether I didn't sleep, it doesn't matter what the situation is. That level of responsibility and accountability for myself, it's just like that extra icing on top of the cake that gets me to get up, especially on the really hard mornings.
Mm-hmm. And we're not 100% on all of this, by the way. Like, that's part of the learning curve is also understanding that you're gonna make mistakes. It's just Tyler and I used to talk about this on a different show that we had all the time, where it was like the idea of consistency is not 100%. Consistency is 99%. It's like if you hold yourself to a standard that which is a negative feedback cycle, where it's like if I have to be absolutely perfect at doing this thing unless I'm not going to do it. So the first time that your alarm doesn't go off and you miss it, you throw the whole thing away. That doesn't help anybody.
Right, that temper tantrum didn't help anybody.
Exactly. That just backsets you however much effort you already put into this project. And it's like it's not just about waking up. It's about waking up all the time or most of the time, and it's like pushing and striving to do it more and more consistently every single time.
I mean, all of us, even in the history of this show, or even Benjamin and I in our other show, like we would have weeks where we would alternate, where it'd be like, okay, well, I'm on time all week, and Benjamin's not on time all week, and it's like, oh, Benjamin's on time all week, and my ringing don't make for work.
Yeah. And that happens, and a lot of people. I just want there to be this understanding of like waking up earlier isn't going to make you a better person, because it's not. What's going to make you a better person is committing to something that's not comfortable. And that's really what waking up early is just the easiest thing to start doing.
Right, and well, that coupled with consistency, we were saying not waking up all the time. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
But yeah, being consistent and committed to that discomfort is really a big thing that starts to train your mind to be able to handle other uncomfortable situations that like following your dreams or going into this new venture that you want to do that you're afraid of. You need to start putting yourself in uncomfortable situations so you can grow. And this is just like waking up early, in my opinion, is one of the easiest ways to do that, because you could do it every day and it doesn't really cost you anything other than some discomfort and an alarm clock if you don't have a phone. But there's the Ducks. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back.
We would like to thank Anchor for sponsoring and hosting the Life podcast. So who are Anchor and what do they do? Anchor is the all-in-one platform that gives you everything you need to make and publish your podcast. And best of all, it's all free. Anchor allows you to use their creative tools to record and edit your podcast. No need for any fancy professional equipment. Sounds amazing, right? And we haven't even gotten to the best part. Anchor isn't just a recording and editing platform. They're a publisher too. This means that Anchor takes care of all of the hard stuff, like publishing to Apple and Google Podcasts, so you don't have to. So what are you waiting for? Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. Another thanks to Anchor for hosting, publishing, and sponsoring the Life podcast. I wouldn't put any money in Bitcoin. I got in and out of that race really quickly.
Did you? I didn't understand the race.
I'm
not going to start running.
I got into mining Ethereum really early on.
See,
not
that's
as
what
early as
confused
I
me.
wanted
That's
to.
exactly what because when people started saying, I'm going to go mine Bitcoin, I was like, this is way beyond me.
It's not even that difficult. You ran a utility on your machine. It was doing some math problems, and it's pretty much, it ran in the background. And it was just, I started too late. I should have started earlier, but I didn't, which is what everybody says in the investing world. If I had known, I would have done it faster. Yeah, of course you would have done it faster. I would have invested in Apple in 92 if I had known it was going to be the first $1 trillion company. But that's not relevant. That's procrastination. But yeah, what she was saying was, we'll have a link of this video in the description. I don't know who this lady is, but
yeah, I'm sure I said her name somewhere, but I didn't look at it.
Yeah, I didn't either. What she was saying was very interesting, where it's like, it's a mental habit. Like, our brain loves doing the same thing again and again and again. It loves routines. So if your brain develops this set of steps, that it's like, okay, the alarm clock goes off, I press snooze, I sit here for 5 minutes, I press snooze, and you just repeat that until you absolutely have to go. And your brain knows, I get to work every day. I'm not fired yet. It is what it is. So I don't really need to go through the process that I don't like to go through.
Yep.
And it just does the exact same thing every single day.
Yeah. I that's actually really good. And the idea of like the what triggers a procrastinating moment is the stress, and which is it's like the idea of like not wanting to do something. You're stressed out about something, or something in the background's going on, and it's like, I don't want to do this right now because it stresses me out. So your mind, instead of like, oh, let's just get it done and over with, is like, let's just not do it, huh? And then we don't have to be stressed.
Yeah, right. Well, not even to say that was I guess she was saying because there was already stress on the plate too.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I can't add anything more to my CPU, so I'm just gonna sit here and watch cat videos.
Yeah, that's
because my mental CPU is already cooked full of stress.
Of course, yeah, because like if you're going into a situation and you're like hunky dory, you're fine. Everything in your life is going peachy fine. A little bit of like something that stresses you out is no big deal. It's like, oh, it's a little peak on the meter, whatever. I'll handle
right,
this.
you have enough patience to be able to walk the little old lady across the street, or the guy didn't go at the green light as soon as it was green, so it's like, oh, okay, hey buddy, let's go, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And but if you're already running at 96% CPU, and then that little bit extra just kind of kicks in, and now you're overloaded, and it's like, I just need a minute, and now you're gonna slow down and you're gonna do something else that like de-stresses you, quote unquote, instead of finishing whatever it is that you were gonna do.
It's like emptying your recycle bin just to be able to like save your Microsoft Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, there you go. Move the trash, empty bin, please.
Honestly, my computer at work was like that, like maybe about a week ago. our server was just like full. It was cooked.
Yeah.
And I couldn't save my shared Excel sheet, so I was like dumping my trash bin, empty my cookies, as many KBs as I can here and there to be able to say. I mean, it's bad if you can't even like just save your Excel sheet.
Yeah, that's
really
very bad.
that's up there.
Listen, we fixed it.
Yeah.
Stapled another like drive to the side of it, so when it went to Walmart, just plugged in another 4 terabytes. It's like, it's fine, everything's okay. Which is what a lot of people do with their lives, by the way. Like, it's a funny little dumb example, but it's like, how many times have like you run into an issue and then you find like the smallest little option that gets you out of like skirts you by, and you're just like, there you go, done.
Number one thing, it's like, okay, so somebody has stress in their life. What do? They go out, they go shop, and they try to go buy something to ease their mind or to make them feel pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, well, now I'm stressed out even more because I spent money that I didn't have. What do? Let's go open up another credit card. Like,
yeah, that'll fix all my problems.
Macy's will give me 0% for 12 months.
Oh yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah, but then they do that, and then they cook it, and then they go over and over and over. And I mean, I've seen this with so many people around me, and it's crazy what stress will do.
Absolutely.
Or whatever your stress relief is. It could be shopping, it could be gambling, it could be whatever. It doesn't have to be money related either.
No, exactly. It's like, okay, well, I'm stressed out. What am I going to do? I'm going to go buy a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And 6-pack doesn't get you by. It's like, I'm going to go buy a 12-pack.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to remember that like waking up early isn't going to fix any of this. You know what I mean? This is obviously a deeper root, but waking up early is a starting point.
Yeah. It's like, like this person's like, I'm an alcoholic. I'm gonna wake up earlier and I'm not gonna be an alcoholic anymore. It's like, no, that's not how this works.
No, your body still needs alcohol to function.
Yeah.
But it's the idea. Like, there are people who are like, oh, I woke up early for a week and then my life didn't change. So what was the point? I'm just gonna go back to what I was doing.
Exactly.
And it's like, well, it's what you do. You know what I mean? It's what you do with that time. It's also harder to wake up in the morning if you don't have anything to do in the morning.
Yeah. It doesn't help.
You have to have a purpose.
You have to have a purpose to get out of bed.
It doesn't help to wake up at 4 a.m. and then go sit on the couch and
Yeah.
like just be like, oh yeah, this is real. My life's really gonna change. It's not like, no, it's not.
Listen, guy, if I woke up at 5 o'clock and just went and sat down on the couch, like, I mean, good thing I don't have a couch. But side note, but if I woke up at 5 o'clock and went and sat down on the couch within less than 5 minutes, dude, I'd be sleeping cooked already.
Yeah.
Because don't think that the people who wake up early like to wake up early. It's not. It's uncomfortable forever.
Yeah.
What do people do? They wake up I know people that wake up right away, instantly take a shower to wake up. It's like, I can't wake up, so I'm gonna go hit the shower. I will feel all right. I mean, think about it being a kid at, like, going to school. Like, how many times did you sleep against the shower wall in the shower?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then, until you can finally like muster up
the energy to just kind of finish up showering and get going because you realize you've been in there for 25 minutes.
But you have people that they wake up and instantly they go for a jog. It's like, even if it's cold outside, it's like, okay, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna go run a little bit.
That's just insane. See, that's like a level that's above me.
Yeah.
But like, to them, it's insane. It was insane at one point.
Yeah.
Well, that was their prerogative. We have each other. They had jogging.
Yeah.
I was like, that's why I needed to wake up, and it took care of my health need. I want to wake up and feel better about my life, so I'm gonna go take a run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the most important part, where it's all like, if you're by yourself in this effort, the chances that you do it by yourself are very slim. You know, and then
There's no one to hold you accountable.
Exactly, and that also breeds a specific type of person, but that's not relative to this topic. But the concept of like, if you want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people, or if you want to be upwardly mobile, surround yourself with people who are upwardly mobile. If you want to wake up early, surround yourself with people who wake up early, or create an environment for yourself and others that requires you to be awake earlier.
Yeah.
You know?
Start a podcast with 2 of your closest friends.
Yeah. No, well, we just ticked off a lot of show notes right there. That was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have 7 minutes left in this segment.
All right, guys, that was the Life podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Tyler's like running it down.
I had something to say.
Okay.
Yeah, buffer.
Wonderful.
Buffering.
And it's like, I think a lot of people assume that what Eric was saying before, waking up early does not equal success.
No.
There is a reason why you wake up early, and that's because you need to do stuff.
I hate, like, there's been so many videos that I've seen. They're like, oh, I don't know how many steps, but like 7 tips to be successful. And it's always like, wake up early, and then this is what all the rich people do, and this is all the successful people do. And it's like, wake up early, and then it's like then they run off like a morning routine. Like, no one else's morning routine will make you successful, ever.
Yeah.
Everyone is unique. Your morning routine is different from everybody else's. And it's you tweak it as you go along. You know what I mean? One time for a season, showering in the morning is the way that you do it. And other times, it's going to be something else. So you can't like watch other people's success and mimic it and expect to be successful. But you can take it as like, just take it as a perspective. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this person does this person does that, and then you can try to formulate and include some of those into your morning, and try to make your morning better. And these are things that, like, oh, if you can't wake up early, what are things you can do to help you like want to wake up? It's like, and I tried everything, and I'll tell you right now, the only thing that helped me want to get up,
Crystal meth.
Jeez.
did not expect that one.
No. You never go to sleep.
Yeah, whatever. You don't have to wake up if you never go to sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me, it was the accountability factor of having, like, luckily it was this podcast. We had a reason to come here, but having the accountability of 2 other people, and at that point, like that was the biggest push for me. And then my morning routine, quote unquote, figured itself out.
Yeah.
So I think that if you put your focus in, like, this is something you've been wanting to put together and you've just been procrastinating it, like, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, set yourself a schedule. Like, I'm going to do it in the morning.
Right.
And and I'm not saying start at 5 a.m. No. Work your way to it.
Well, if you work at 7,
This is the
way that people.
You have to work it. You
Or
have to
if-
wake up at 5. Guys.
If you're already waking up at 7, then the next step is wake up at 5.
Yeah.
But if you're waking up at noon, set the clock back a little bit at a time.
Well, and it's another thing too. You have to shave minutes off the top to be able to get them from the bottom. It's like you can't sleep 4 hours and wake up at 5 o'clock every morning and think that you're gonna feel good after time. You're only gonna be able to do that for so long. It's like, well, I tried to do that success thing where I wake up every morning really early, but I didn't go to bed till like 1, because that's when I just go to bed playing video games all night. It's like, yeah, well.
That's where the sacrifice comes in.
Yeah, you have to cut those other things. You have to shave off the top to be able to tack it onto the bottom. Everybody needs 6 to 8. Right.
Yeah.
Everybody needs 6 to 8 hours of sleep.
Absolutely.
You can't get around that.
No, absolutely.
Without drugs.
And if you do get around that, you're just shaving years off the end.
Yeah.
And if you're at a point where you're like, I don't want to give up anything, then you're not ready for this, and that's fine. But you need to be like, you have to understand and aware that you're not ready for it. If you're not willing to sacrifice, if you're not at that point where sacrificing something so that you can get something else out of it, then you're not ready to move up to success. You're not ready to hit the next level of success. And there are levels to success. I'm a big believer of that. And if your mindset is right, you will always be successful.
Right.
It's just levels to this.
If you can't put the video games down to be able to wake up in the morning or whatever it is, then like you're not ready for success.
You're not, and that is what it is. Everything comes in time, and you will get there. And if you want to keep playing the video games now, it's fine. But you have to be aware of, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
That's if it's not worth it to you, it's not worth it to you.
Yeah.
So like we talk about that example of the guy with the fisherman and the businessman. It's only the hustle's only worth the hustle if you like it. It's not like at the end of the day. As weird as this sounds for people like us who we're inclined to do more stuff, there are people who are happy doing nothing.
And it's cool, just don't complain about your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like that's
Don't-
perfectly
don't-
fine.
Don't complain to me if you want to live that way and you choose all of these options and say, oh, why is my life so bad?
Yeah, that's really the people that it's like, they come to you and they say, oh, man, I wish I was more successful, this, and this. I wish I could do this. I wish I had more money. And then I was like, all right, so what do you do with your day? And then they start off with, well, I wake up at 12, and then I eat some Cheerios, and then I turn on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then around 3 o'clock, I go I go get some food. And then at around 4 o'clock, I go try to find a job, but nobody's hiring,
All right, I work at Wendy's from 4 to 8.
And I'm not like, I understand, but you have to understand that's a teenager's mentality, and that's okay when you're a teenager. But like once you hit that upper echelon of like you're in your 20s now and you're still doing that,
I want to even go even further. I don't think it's okay. In this day and age, I don't think that stupid room, that extended adolescence or that adolescence as we've known it is okay anymore.
I don't think there's enough time for it.
Right. The more acceptable it is now, the less that it actually should be on the table. Like, you don't have time to do that.
I agree. And just and you build that habit now. Now that life, that agenda, that regime that you have in your life is a habit. And so like changing any of that is like, yeah, of course it's uncomfortable. I'd love to say that I could get paid to sit down, play video games, wake up at noon, and still be at the level of success that I want to be. I wish. That's awesome. That's a great life. But listen, that's not how it works. You have to sacrifice and give a little in order to get what you're actually looking for. So if success and everyone's definition of success is different. So my definition of success, if you want that, you have to give somewhere to try to start getting towards that, and it's one step at a time.
In passing, I said to somebody, "Oh, you got to live a maxed out lifestyle." Like, not even like pointing at a person and being like, "Step it up." I was just like, "Oh, it's got to be maxed out life," and they were like, "Not that maxed out," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, I just don't understand that concept of the idea of not trying to push further than you can. But I guess people are just, if that's what it really boils down to in this last minute of this section, it boils down to, are you accepting the results of your actions? If I say 2 + 2 is 4, if I go through the steps to make rice and I get rice, it's like, you can't be mad that you got rice after you did the steps required to get rice. If you want a steak, you cannot go through the steps required to make rice and expect a steak to come out.
Start planting a farm.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
Get some steak out of this, boys.
Exactly. And it's like, are you happy with what actions you put in? The result is directly correlated to the actions that you took. And if you're fine with that, that's fine. Like, do whatever you want to do. If you want to sit at home and you work 4 hours a day and you want to just eat ramen noodles every single day and play PlayStation,
noodles are cheap.
It is what it is. Like, do whatever you want. But then again,
don't complain about it.
Yeah, don't complain about it.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Is like, I guess we're talking about people who complain about it, And it's okay to live whatever life you want to live. It's okay to make whatever decision that you want to make, as long as you're okay with the result, the consequence, and you're not complaining every step of the way about your result. And that's really where it's like, okay. But we're gonna take another break, and stay tuned.
And it's like, it's important to realize, we're back on, Tyler. Sorry. It's important to realize, success is relative, and so is procrastination. Because that's actually an interesting concept. Like, the idea that me and Eric, let's say we're in an interaction together, and I see Eric not do something, and I'm like, Eric's procrastinating. Why is Eric procrastinating? And I don't really necessarily mention it to him, but it bothers me so much. Yeah. And it's like, to Eric, that might not be procrastinating, but to me it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's relative, and it's there's a give and a take, and there's like this idea that we talked about, the couch idea, where it's all like, if somebody asks me to help move their couch, if it's at the bottom of both of our lists, but your list is 3 items long and mine's 75, there's a completely different expectation of when that couch is going to be moved between me and you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
that couch don't make for go, guy.
No, it's like, it's not going to happen. It's like, it is what it is.
Yeah. And it's actually really interesting when you think about it like that, because everyone has a different priority list, and that and you have to really, like, you can't take other people's opinions of like, if someone tells you you're procrastinating, that's one thing, and you take that in, but when you're procrastinating.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I didn't realize I was procrastinating. No,
I really like that. I mean, that really gives you some insight. Like when that lady said, like, the trigger for procrastination is stress. That's so true.
Yeah.
Like, even if we get sucked into, like, you can see people, like, stress relief is taking the blue light from your phone and just scrolling down a Facebook feed. That's like, wow, you didn't realize how much stress that you actually deal with and have, and that you, like, subconsciously on this weird, like, this weird level try to deal with.
Absolutely. And that's why, like, taking time to yourself is so important, because that should be your stress relief, not the 3-second or 3-minute or 30-minute stroll through Facebook memories. That shouldn't be a stressful. Like, you should be able to maintain, but you have to have the time off. And I think that's a big red flag of, like, you're not having enough time to yourself, where you're like, you are living that maxed out life, but it's not. And it's starting to turn into a negative, because you're not taking the day off in a week. Now you've worked 21 days straight.
You need at least one day off. You do. You need at least one out of every. out of every 7.
Absolutely.
It's just a proven fact.
And for me, it's like my one day off. I don't set an alarm. I don't wake up early.
Nope.
I wake up early 6 days of the week, but my one day off, it's like I sleep in until I can, you know, and that's important for me because that's like a reward for me. That's my reward. So I get to that day and I'm like, oh, I can sleep in, and you feel good because you worked all week and you woke up early all week and you committed all week and you purposely left this day open so that you could sleep in, and that's my reward.
If we're talking about practical life application, this is a very unpopular opinion because a lot of people say like, oh, you know, I scroll through Facebook to relax, or I do like I play video games to relax or to go somewhere else. I think they're actually really bad crutches that we've created within the 21st century, where your relaxing should be completely disconnected and unplugged from all electronics.
I don't necessarily think that's true.
I said it was controversial.
No, I
First thing you
understand.
said.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's necessarily true. If you like to play video games as your stress reliever, that's fine. It doesn't make a difference. It's like it is what it is. Or if you like to watch YouTube videos or use Facebook or whatever, I don't think that's a crutch. I think that if you use it every single day, or you utilize it as a procrastination tool, or if you lean on it more than you quote unquote should, then yes. In the same way that you could say skiing is a crutch that has been developed. It's like, why don't you just work 24 hours a day? It's like, no, we need to stress relief and decompress. Everybody has a different way of doing that.
I think those are more healthier options. So where I was trying to attack that from, because like you're saying, like video games and everything aren't that bad, but where we're in this microwave culture, this forward culture, all we do is inundate ourselves in our minds. We've had plenty of episodes about this stuff, about like the blue light and all the endorphins and fake chemicals that get made through the interaction of video games or screens.
Yeah.
And to disconnect from those fake endorphins to go off and do something like skiing, where you're not bombarded with information, but your body's producing a different set of chemicals because of physical workout or just interaction within nature itself. I feel like that's a much healthier option.
I think that it is the natural the way our body is meant to react and the way it's meant to.
Well, that's
I
how
think
people
would be
lived
more natural.
for thousands of years, ever since up until the 20th century.
And I think I mean this is my perspective of it, because I know that other people might disagree with it, but like I think that video games and anything with a screen on it is an alternative. And it's like I can't go away to ski because I only have 6 hours off. You know what I mean? I can't go for a walk or whatever it is. So instead, I'm going to spend this time on something that makes me feel like I'm getting that stress relief, which would be like a video game, because I could spend 3 hours on it and it's okay, and I don't have to spend any money. I don't have to go anywhere, and I can save and that's really what it comes down. I think it's that alternative. I think people pick that. They much rather go out and, like, I'd rather be in the Bahamas with no screen of course, but I can't afford to go to Bahamas in the next 6 hours. So instead, I'm going to play a video game about the Bahamas. And you know what I mean? It's like that. And that's the way I think most people operate, maybe not on a conscious level, but I think subconsciously, I think that's what they'd much rather would be outside.
I think we're bringing a generation that doesn't think so, because all they've known is the imitation their whole life. It's that generation that's grown up eating the bologna sandwich of the simulator.
Yeah.
And says when it actually comes to the real thing, I don't like steak sandwich. I don't like steak sandwiches because I've been conditioned so far to eat bologna sandwich.
I think very quickly we're getting into the video games are the bane of the millennial world type of like statement, and it's like, okay, in the same way, the way I took
this way too far.
Yeah, the way that I look at video games is kind of the way that I look at alcohol, where it's all like, if you spend all day long
play responsibly
drinking alcohol, basically, it is basically because video games are addictive, and it is what it is, you know, because we've learned how human brains work. And what Tyler's saying is true. We're like, it's kind of like the concept of like the robot makes people smile. It's like the easiest way to make people smile is not to tell jokes, it's to physically manipulate the face. It's like that's not the goal, but like whatever. It's like video games press buttons that we didn't know were there for a long time to achieve a goal that isn't necessarily quote unquote natural. Same thing with alcohol. Alcohol creates a system, it's a chemical imbalance, and it does a certain thing. If you drink alcohol from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, you have a problem.
Or you're really talented.
Yeah.
Probably after a contest. Actually.
If you play video games from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, you have a problem.
Yeah.
And this is where people deviate
Unless
from
it's
the
paying
concept.
you.
No, I think you really shed some great insight
You know-
into what we were just trying to
Yeah, that was good.
trying to hash out on the fly.
If you go to a party, it's like it is what it is. Like don't get addicted to it, but it's like
Yeah, and it's like everything is
a
addictive.
video game party, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whatever it is. So everything is addictive,
Mhm.
and I think that if it's not a problem until you start to abuse it, and that's really what the line is. Unless it's like very hard drugs, and then it's very easy to abuse. So so be careful. But what I'm saying is anything can become addictive. Video games. Drinking, whatever it is. These are two things that we ended up bringing up.
anything.
But as long as you do it, and when you're not abusing it, you're not using it to make yourself feel better, like in a way of like or using it to deal with something. That's when you're abusing this.
Well, and we noticed it. And now we were talking about procrastination. When you go back and think about it, I mean, all day long, people are going back. You have that twitch to go to Snapchat, or that muscle memory to go to Facebook, and it's like every 10 minutes or so. It's almost like smoking a cigarette. It's really what it is. Instead of going out for a smoke break, or I mean, I've been watching Mad Men the past
Have you?
week and a half. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I like the commentary on the society, like 50s culture and everything.
Yeah,
it really was
really cool culture.
I don't
Dude,
know what time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really different. You would like it.
I have no time to watch TV. shows.
I get that.
Play the audio in your
Yeah.
But what it is, it's like basically like we've come to screens as like a virtual like smoke break. And it becomes really unbalanced.
Well, at the end of the day, society is going to have addictions as a whole, and the trend is always going to be moving in the same direction. So, like, we have these pockets of like overlapping trend lines, and if you look at smoking, and you see that smoking goes up, and then smoking goes down, but then vaping goes up right as smoking goes down, and there's
always
point.
something,
There's
yeah.
always the point change, and whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the addiction is. It's like smoking went down, cell phone use went way up. But it's like, okay, that's what it is. Every generation has an addiction, whatever the
Absolutely.
addiction is.
Absolutely.
And it's just realizing that it's an addiction. And like humans are humans. They've always been humans. If it's reading, if it's smoking, if it's playing video games, there's always a chemical imbalance. And it's realizing that that's happening and fixing it and moderating it so that you can be in control of the thing. It's
Sorry, advertising. Humans.
yeah,
If it gets us high, we'll find it.
basically, which is like that's humanity
It's
as
the
a
commercial
whole.
for Earth.
Yeah, Earth. High all the time. But it's like this is the concept, and moderation is the key.
Yeah.
It's like there are things that we do. We use the alcohol example because there's like, as long as you don't use it horribly, it doesn't have any super long lasting effects. But whatever.
Think about like the Puritans and everything. They had no choice but to drink alcohol, or like they would water down, or pirates too.
Yeah.
They would have to water down wine just so that the water would be potable. That little bit of alcohol in the beer, when you mixed it with water or the hard liquor, it would kill whatever bacteria was in there, so you'd actually have a chance to like live on a ship.
Oh wow! I never knew that. That's actually great.
but moderation is the key to all of this. It's and that's where procrastination is set, is the idea of circumventing the moderation, where it's all like, if I don't do this thing, I am stopping the impulse to slow something down. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Where it's like, okay, if the endorphin is achievement, I can either clean my house, or I can play a video game and achieve both of those two things.
Yeah.
So all your brain does ever is try to find the path of least resistance, where it's all like, okay, I want endorphins. I want to be happy. How do I be happy? I have to achieve something. How do I achieve something? I can clean my house, or I can play this video game. And your brain's
Achievement
like,
unlocked.
yeah, exactly. Your brain's like,
No,
power
it's a
up the
no-brainer.
Xbox.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
no-brainer. Let's get the Xbox going, guys.
Exactly.
We're talking about practical life application. She was saying that a lot of procrastination comes from a stressor. A lot of this is really just being self-aware and understanding when we go and try to lean on procrastination. We have to do a deep self-assessment. And a lot of people, like, your CPU could be maxed out because you still never dealt with those child problems that you dealt with when you were 5. I mean, I'm just going way back, but I mean, and I'm not a psychiatrist by any means, but really be self-aware and be environmentally aware and say, what is causing me stress? Where, I mean, we can be so exposed to stress that we become accustomed to it.
Yeah.
It's like, what can I cut out of my life so that I'm not leaning on procrastination as much as a stress relief tactic? It's like, oh, I hate my job this much.
Yeah.
So therefore, when I'm not at my job, all I can do is play video games and smoke weed and hang out.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then obviously, like, your job is maxing out your CPU to be able to tolerate and deal with your life. You have to find something else so that you can be constructive in your free time.
Absolutely. And these addictions, they are the procrastinators. We're choosing to do that. We're choosing to, drink. We're choosing to do that instead of, so that we can procrastinate the idea of dealing with whatever's actually stressing us out. Like, oh, you go through a breakup. You're very stressed out. You're very sad. You don't want to feel that anymore. You want to you don't want to deal with that right now because you just feel like you've maxed out on your emotional level.
And it can even, it can go back. It can go back years. It's like you have this problem that you haven't dealt with that you buried in the concrete a long time ago.
Yeah, because
it's like,
yeah, exactly.
you're so accustomed to it being way back there that it's like, why do I do these things? It's because you never dealt with that thing to begin with.
So you taking that drink and you just like over consuming now and just trying to forget, that's you leaving it on your computer space. You know what I mean? And then another thing happens like down the road and it's on top of what you already put that's still on your computer space. You never emptied out the trash. So like now it's still there and now it just piles up a little bit more. And now you're going to drink through that too because that's your habit of doing it. That's how you deal with it. That's your number one go-to. It's the easiest route. And you do that long enough, now you're maxed out. Now you're so stressed out that the littlest thing is affecting you and you don't know why. Well, it's because your hardware space is so maxed out and you haven't emptied out any of the bins. And now you have to get to a point where you have to clean it out. And a lot of people
empty out your trash bin to save your Excel sheet.
Yeah, you start going through the cookies and start deleting those, trying to get kilobytes out of it. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm just going to try to make this work as best as I can. Yeah. And then you go back and you keep pushing forward and you keep dealing with the kilobytes when you really need to just empty out the trash and stop procrastinating and deal with your problems.
Ooh.
And there it is.
That's it. Yeah, let's call it.
Thanks for listening to the Life Podcast. If you like the show, please rate us on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps us out. If you feel like supporting us in a more direct way, you can check out our Patreon page linked in the description of this video. One last thing. Please let your friends know about the podcast. If you like the show, we're sure they'll like it too. If you'd like to reach out to us, send us an email at thelifepodcastshow@gmail.com. We appreciate all of your support, and we'll see you next time. Okay, now let's have a little bit more fun with that, Benji. I don't like to have fun, Eric.